Hi, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a little bit of a lesser known topic, or maybe a little bit, not lesser known, but there are videos out there with millions of views on it that I'm sure some of you have seen, and but I feel like they don't completely lay out what these were. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about rods from God. Now, I know that name sounds absolutely horrifying, and I don't blame you if that genuinely sounds like something out of the Bible, because it does, but it was originally designed as a military weapon. In today's video, we're going to talk about their history, where they have been used, and why they were created, and why they were ultimately cut out. So, let's start off with a demonstration. Imagine this battery. Yeah, this battery. Except it's 20 feet tall, made entirely out of tungsten, and a foot wide. And it's coming directly at your location at the speed of the Dark Star from Top Gun. That's what a rod from God is. Now, the damage that this theoretical 20 foot tall tungsten 1 foot wide battery would cause would be comparable to that of a nuclear bomb. If it was launched from orbit, and like I said, it would be moving at the speed of the Dark Star from Top Gun, it would obliterate everything that is directly under it. So the rods from God are a theoretical military weapon that would be shot down from satellites in orbit. Like I said, it would be going at breakneck speeds, coming at you with thousands of pounds with force. One of the benefits of these rods from God, or possible benefits, is that they would yield the same power as a nuke, but without all of the nuclear fallout. So you could explode one target with one giant piece of metal. Now, these aren't just theoretical. Similar things were used during the Korean and Vietnam War. There was limited use in Korea and Vietnam of something known as the Lazy Dog bomb. It was shaped exactly like a regular bomb, except it was only about 1.75 inches tall and about 1/2 inch wide. These small projectiles were dropped from aircraft directly onto enemy troops, essentially causing the same effect as a machine gun firing at them from above. This was one of the first uses of what we now know as rods from God. It was just a lot smaller and used a slightly different method of attack. Now, in the atmosphere where these things would be fired from, they would start coming towards their target at about Mach 24. I am not reading that wrong. You did not hear that wrong. Mach 24. But as it re-enters Earth's atmosphere, it would lose a lot of its velocity and hit at a mere Mach 8.8. I know, it sounds weird to say mere Mach 8.8, but it really is mere compared to Mach 24, the speed that it started out as. Now, this isn't to say that because of the speed loss, it wouldn't cause damage. Like I said, imagine a solid metal telephone pole coming at you at 8 times the speed of sound. That would scare the living crap out of you. Due to their high speed and high kinetic energy, as well as no nuclear fallout, they were intended as a quote-unquote bunker buster. So they would have a building full of enemies, they would drop a rod from God on top of them, it would go straight through the bunker, hopefully eliminating all of the targets. Now, this isn't to say it couldn't just be used on buildings. As the name implies, this could yield enough energy to break straight through a nuclear bunker. Now, with up to 8 satellites carrying these rods from God, you could get a response to a target within 15 minutes, which is less than half the time it would take for a ICBM to launch towards a target and hit it. As we talked about earlier, these things have a very high kinetic energy, But if you put that into numbers, you would get about 11.5 tons of TNT worth of kinetic energy. Another benefit to this was the fact that it is very hard to intercept. Like I said, it's moving just as fast as the Dark Star, and it has a very small radar cross-section. There are tons of videos on how radar cross-section works. I'm not going to explain it here, maybe in the future. But it's also just massive. Hard to intercept. Now, after I bring up all these points, you may be wondering, why? Why don't we have these things on beck and call 24/7? Just say, hey, there's a target down there that I need destroyed. Can you send in one of them? And it's because they ultimately cost too much and were a little bit too unreliable. Because you have to account for the spin of the Earth and how everything moves in the air. It's really complicated. I don't want to get into a bunch of aerodynamics right now, or physics, or whatever. But all you need to know is they were accurate to a degree, but they weren't as accurate as the United States would like them to be. Not to mention their obscene cost being a telephone pole-sized cylinder of tungsten. That has to cost at least, they didn't put an exact number in the research I did, but I'm assuming that 2 of these things would cost millions. That's all I have for today. Stay safe. God loves you. Thanks for watching this video. Bye.